Hello and welcome to Up the Villa podcast. So, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. We're a fan based podcast looking to have you, the fans, the listeners, on board to come and have your say after the games. So, subscribe, you'll help us grow. It'll be really appreciated. We also have a giveaway. So, if you subscribe and comment Up the Villa podcast below, you're in with a chance of winning one of our brand new mugs. So, today's game, we came away 4-3 losers against Southampton. Before the game, I put out a tweet this morning just saying how I felt. I felt nervous and I just had a real bad feeling about the game. Some of the boys on the podcast predicted that we was going to lose today as well. And just for me, I just had a bad vibe, to be fair. I just woke up and thought it weren't going to be our day. And then just, thinking about the game, how it played out. So obviously Southampton had the disallowed goal to start with from VAR. And for me, it just set the tone of the first half. It was just a catalogue of errors. But for me, it came from the tempo of the game from the very first minute. The tone wasn't there, the tempo wasn't there, there was no intensity. And I feel like looking at the goals, you could look and think, Ward-Prowse, brilliant free kick. On another day that might not go in, but it was down to us. We allowed those situations to happen. I think the first goal, leaving the smallest player on the pitch against their beast of a centre-back, you just can't do that. Douglas Luiz's mistake was a mistake. It was the sort of thing he was doing pre-lockdown, silly errors, should not be fouling there when you know that Ward-Prowse is an absolute beast at set pieces. He's probably one of the best free kick takers in the league. He's that good. That was 2-0. 3-0, sloppy error from Cash, just wrong area, just in no man's land, jumping, arms in the air. Another free kick, can't give them away again. You've had the first warning, it's gone in. That was 2-0, 3-0. 4-0, I thought their goal was brilliant. I thought that was such a good goal. It was such good build-up play. Danny Ings. And then we woke up. We decided to turn up and give them a game. And I just felt, where was that from the first minute? We all know we've got goals in our side. We all know that we can score at will at times, and we've got players that can unlock any defence. But I just felt we can't be chasing games like that. So for me today, it was just a real disappointing game. And it's a slight worry because I shouldn't be sat here, and we shouldn't be sat here listening now to us all thinking, well, next game we play, is that tempo going to be the same? What are we going to do? Are we going to come away and play the same? Like, I want to know that Villa are going to be bang at it from that very first minute. That should be a given. And today, it just wasn't the case. We allowed them to they had 4 shots, 4 goals, but we allowed them to dictate the play and get in that game and get that foothold. So for me, really disappointed. I don't want to come across really negative, but it was the application that was a worry for me. I'm still very positive. I still think we're going to have a real good season, but that level of performance cannot carry on this season, in my opinion, and we need to improve dramatically in that sense of the game. So that's my view. A little bit negative from me, but I felt like it's needed today because I just feel like we can't keep doing that, and we can't keep playing like that. Obviously, we had a bad 40 minutes against Leeds as well, and it sort of took its toll into the first 45 minutes of this game. So bitterly disappointed. So I'm going to bring in Seb now. And we'll hear what Seb's got to say. So do you concur or do you disagree? What are your thoughts?
I mean, look, if you think you were negative, then maybe it's not best I do it today because we were dreadful and I was fuming at halftime. That first 45 minutes was embarrassing to watch. And it reminded me of when I first came on the podcast, when we first started up. And most of our chats were so negative and they were about how we weren't putting 100% effort in. It's the little things that got to me today. All their 4 goals stemmed from our own individual errors and our own complacencies. And that's what annoys me. when you get beaten by opposition just due to a better goal or a bit of quality, I don't mind that because that happens in football. But what I can't back is when we leave ourselves short time after time. And it was in the first half. It could have been 5 or 6 Southampton. We looked like a Sunday League team out there. We didn't learn from conceding the first free kick because we then go and do it again and get punished for it again, as if the first time wasn't a lesson in itself. Look, Southampton didn't have to turn up in the first 45 minutes. They were dictating the tempo of the play. They were deciding how the game panned out. And if they'd have turned it up higher, I genuinely think we could have been 4, 5, 6 nil down at half time. But taking away the positives from today, look, I'd have loved to be a fly in the wall of that dressing room at half time to see what Dino says because it worked. He did get a reaction out of them, but it was a reaction too late. We've got to come out like that at the start of the game. We've got to take the game to these sorts of teams like the Southamptons, and we've got to put them on the back foot early on. We can't put them on the back foot when we're 4-0 down after 65 minutes because we can put anyone on the back foot when we're 4, 5-0 down. They'd stopped playing.
Yeah.
And I think had it been a closer game, would we have got in so many times and created the chances we did? Probably not because they got complacent today.
I think you're right. I think obviously it was more about second half. They dropped off and we sort of got better and kept going forward. And I think let's pay Southampton some credit here. They were good today. They were good. They were good in the sense of their application was right. That they set the tone early on. You know, it was sort of like that. Even that VAR disallowed goal, it was sort of coming, wasn't it? And we were sort of just going through a bit of an emotion. And I think, like you said as well, when the team cuts us open and scores a brilliant goal, applaud it. You know, in the intro, I've just applauded Danny Ings for his goal. It was brilliant play. But for Villa's front today, I felt like it was just a catalogue of errors. And I think Dean Smith, when he did his interview after the game and he was saying he didn't feel like we should have been 3-0 down, like I feel like we should have been because I feel like the tone wasn't right. And I think that's what needs addressing for me so that we are more competitive from the very first minute. I think it was great that we came back. We showed great character. If there was probably another 5 minutes, we probably could have drew the game 4-4. It was going that way. But there's just certain aspects even of the first half. So obviously we all know that Southampton have a little bit of a high line and we were trying to expose that because we were literally lumping balls forward every 5 minutes. But you've got to be clever with that ball that goes forward. It's not just a punt forward and a boot forward. It's got to be timed to perfection. You've got to see that Watkins is running behind. But at times it was just like, boot it forward. Watkins, he's good at holding the ball up. I wouldn't say it's one of his major strengths, but he's really good at it. But we can't ask him to do that every 5 seconds. We boot the ball forward. It's just, and that was a worry for me today. We lacked a few ideas first half, so I'm literally going to shut up being negative now because who wants to listen to that for about 25 minutes? But so it was nice to see Grealish give Watkins the ball for the pen. I thought that was a great touch. I thought Grealish second half was really good. What else did you make from the game today, Seb?
Look, like you said, I'll give credit to Southampton. They came, they played football, and they knew what they were doing. But that's the minimum I'd expect of any team to turn up and give 100% because we didn't do that. And I think our lack of performance almost merited them more than it should have done. And I'm not going to focus on Southampton because this is an Aston Villa podcast and I don't really care about how Southampton do or how they set up. I care about how we play, and we weren't good enough today. And one thing that's disappointed me a little bit, and I don't want to keep banging on about being negative, but one thing that's disappointed me is you see after the Fulham game, after the Liverpool game, where we've got good results, you go on social media and all the players are there, quick as a flash. Oh, great performance today from the boys. Really enjoyed that. Wish the fans were there. Performances like today, I've seen one or two. Same with the Leeds as well. One or two players have come out and gone, sorry for the performance today, we bottled it. But you don't get that, and that's all I ask really. If the players don't perform, they give it up to the fans and they make sure they tell the fans how they properly feel instead of hiding behind going into the dressing room, hiding behind going home. I want to know how they feel. I'm interested to know whether they think they were awful today, whether they think they could have done better. But look, we can't we can't I don't know, we can't stress enough that we've had a good start to the season. Okay, we can't let this affect us. We can't let this define our season. We keep going now. We've got Arsenal coming up, another tricky game. Arsenal are well drilled. Arsenal know what they're doing. Obviously, we beat them last season, and that was one of the best games I've seen in a long time. Whether we can match that performance and match the result, that would be brilliant. But all I ask is that we turn up for the Arsenal game. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
A good, solid performance.
Definitely, I'm with you. I think, again, application is key. Before we even talk about anything that we're going to do with the football, I think that's one of our issues. I think it's not our ability. I don't question our ability. I don't question how we play at times. I'm just a little bit concerned about the mentality when we go on that football pitch is a little bit questionable. So hopefully we can address that. And I think one standout guy as well, Trezeguet. I think he's really good player for us. And I think even today, back post Trez turned up and, he was popping them in left, right, centre in the first part of the season. But obviously, today he come on and he made that impact. So I'm really impressed with Trezeguet, to be fair. And I think, if Traore is injured now, I think Trez has got to go straight back in because for me, he made that little bit of a difference. But anyway, Seb, thanks for coming on, mate.
No worries. Hopefully we're talking about a positive result come Arsenal.
Thank you. So I'm delighted to say the next caller on today is Liam from Total Villain. He's doing some brilliant stuff on his YouTube channel. He's had me on about my life story, and he's just getting more and more influential Villa influencers on to talk about, their careers, their lives. He's had some former players on as well, so he's doing some great stuff. So how are you?
I'm great, thank you, mate. Not great result today, but I'm all good to see you.
Definitely. So let's get straight on him then. So how did you feel like the game went today?
It's the hope that kills you because, especially in the first half, Villa just lacked desire. And especially after the games against Leicester and Liverpool and such a positive start to the season, you expect so much more. And especially after negative and such a poor performance against Leeds, you expect a much better performance today. And we thought that it was just a blip in the system. So I was really looking forward to today's game. But all in all, it's a positive to see that we did come back from it. But unfortunately, it was a bit too late. But hopefully for the Arsenal game, we'll start well from the first minute and we could get another 3 points.
Yeah, I think I've said with Seb as well previously that was what worried me as well from today was the start. Basically, it was the tempo, it was the tone that was set to start the game, which was a worry. I've also said to Seb that obviously we've got quality all over the pitch. We can carve teams open at will at times. We are going to score goals. We're going to have a good season, I think, but for us to get better and for us to develop into a better side, we need to be making sure that we make every game difficult for every opposition. We can't be handing teams a 3-4-0 head start before we start playing. So what do you feel like was the issue today? Where do you feel like it did go wrong?
I think it's tactics because with Villa, and it's really we only have a plan A and we don't have a plan B, so it's really easy for teams to find us out and really just take advantage of us. I think we have a great group, new additions. I was saying in previous podcasts with yourself, we've got Matty Cash, we've got Martinez, we've got Watkins, really improved certain areas. But it's just a fact that we don't have a plan B. So, for example, if we're too open and expansive, we don't necessarily come back and defend. And we're making silly mistakes, which saw Ward-Prowse score those 2 influential free kicks. So I think Smith just needs to have a look at his tactics and really just implement some sort of plan B to hopefully change the way we play and secure more points in the bag.
Like you say, I feel like I'd like us to just wise up a little bit, you know, to certain things like the needless free kicks we were giving at the edge of the box. You can't do that against Southampton because Ward-Prowse is so good. He's so good at scoring and taking free kicks. So that was a little bit of a worry. How do you feel like Watkins did today?
I think it could have been such a great game for him to show his skills and his skill base, but it's just the fact that if he's going to get no service, he's not going to portray himself as the best striker he can be. A prime example of him portraying his great talent was against Liverpool, because they were just so expansive at the back and they were just defensively all over the place. But Southampton is such a great squad, especially defensively. They've got Kyle Walker-Peters, I believe, from Spurs, who's a new signing. They've got Bertrand, they've got Vestergaard, they've got Bednarek, some great defenders. And especially their goalkeeper as well, McCarthy. He was on form today, unbelievable. And Trezeguet, I believe, specifically had a few chances and could really put those away. But it's great to see he got the penalty at the end. Grealish gave it to him. He scored, and hopefully that will give him more confidence. So when he does get those chances, hopefully in the Arsenal game, he can put them away. Yeah,
and I'm sort of starting to think maybe that this is just a little bit of a reality check that we sort of needed. Maybe I don't know. I just think we've had a real good start, haven't we? And I just want us to push on to that next level now and try and strive to be even better. So hopefully it is a blip and we can put in a good performance against Arsenal. But obviously the games don't get any easier, do they? You know, and I think if you think about our start, we've actually had quite a difficult start, to be fair. You know, we've played Leicester, Liverpool, Southampton. We've got Arsenal coming up now as well. So these are some real tough games. So let's not forget that we have played some top sides so far. So, you know, I think we're still looking at around about sixth place. So, you know, hopefully we can put that another good performance in. So thanks for coming on, Liam. And everybody check out his channel, Total Villain. It's on YouTube. It's a great channel. So be sure to subscribe to him as well.
Thank you.
So last caller of the night, we've got Ryan. How are you, mate? You okay?
Yes, not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
What do you make of that then?
Disappointing day. It was Halloween yesterday, but that first half performance felt like Villa saved Halloween for today. 4-0 down, and I just felt like we was half a yard off the pace all throughout that game. I thought the press got easily bypassed, especially I think it was the second free kick. We had 4 players in a row and 3 Southampton midfielders, you know, goal side of them. Simple ball through, Douglas Luiz, silly mistake, and we're punished. And 3 simple mistakes by Luiz, I think Cash with a handball and Matty Target. And we just got punished by Ward-Prowse, who turned into prime David Beckham. Yeah, he's dead ball. He was ruthless. He was absolutely ruthless with us today. But the one thing that concerned me the most, there was no attack philosophy. I was watching us thinking, what are we doing? We spent potentially £33 million on a striker, and we're just hoofing the ball up to him. I think he had about 6 touches that first half, and it's like, you've got to play to his strengths. But whether Southampton took their foot off the ball or relaxed a bit, we did look better after 4-0. You know, there was encouraging signs. We played with a bit of pride. I thought there was a bit of urgency. The build-up play was a lot better. Watkins was getting in the game. Jack and backboat Trez. You know, Trez could have had 3 or 4. And we had chances galore, but we just left it with just too much to do, mate. Too much
Definitely.
to do.
I'm with you on everything that you've said. One thing I hate in football, and I've hated this ever since I've watched Villa. I remember James Collins used to do it all the time, is when you just aimlessly boot the ball forward. It's frustrating as hell because it just, gives the opposition the ball again, because they're up against very good centre-backs every single time, so they are probably going to win the ball most times. Watkins' aerial ability, hold-up play, isn't his main strength. I just felt today, like, what were we doing? Like, aimlessly booting it forward to him all the time. I know we want to get in behind, but that's not the ball to get in behind with. So that was just, like I've said previously, a little bit of a worry for me. And I think, like you say, didn't turn up first half. That was a big worry. But then we did get better second half. So was it that they dropped off, or was it that we got better? We changed things. I just feel like it just leaves us in a little bit of a, what
The
are
limbo.
we? Where are we going?
Yeah.
What do we do next? Are we going to turn up next week? Are we going to... That's where I'm at. And I don't want to feel like that, but that's the stage that I feel like we're at the minute. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's a bit. We've conceded 7 goals, 7 home goals in 2 games. 6 in two half game spells. So the defensive structure that we've built, which isn't totally down to the back 5, it was down to the whole team putting the graft in. We've just seemed to have lost that strength.
You know what it reminded me of today? It was before lockdown.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like watching us today. We'd got Louise's sloppy mistakes again. We'd got a lack of intensity, a naivety, a just go out there and go through the emotions. That's what it felt like today. And that's what we had pre-lockdown.
Yeah, you felt 1-0 down. You didn't feel like we was going to get back in it. Do you know what I mean? Not before, you felt, we go a goal down, we can score 2. But today, you just didn't feel it. And then when the goals kept coming, it's a bit bad. And it's back to the start. Well, back to throughout pre-lockdown. Every single stupid mistake, boom, punished. This league's ruthless, and we cannot switch off. We cannot. Yes, fantastic start, 12 points, but we can't live on that.
No.
You know what I mean? It's
because at the end of the day, we could have capitalised. We could have had more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want us to be better, but I just feel like we need to regroup big time now and get them foundations, like you say, back to where they should be, because without this sounding really negative, we could be looking at 4 losses in a row the way we're going.
But there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure going into the Arsenal game now.
Then really, is it? Do you know what I mean?
No.
You've done all of your hard work, so we need to just regroup, I think, and focus on the Arsenal game. And I don't want us to sound really negative today just because we've lost the game. I just feel like today it's the manner of the game and the way we lost the game, not the performance as such. I just feel like the way we've gone about things today, I just don't feel like they were right for me.
No, there just wasn't a reaction. It just carried on from where we left off with Leeds. Now, hopefully we can reverse that, and where we've left off today, we can pick up against Arsenal, because we do go into that game now with a bit of pressure on us, because potentially that'll be 3 losses in a row where we would have got a point today against they are a good team, Southampton. Yeah. Then, it sort of takes the pressure off going to Arsenal. You can play without a bit of fear. But listen, Saints are a good team. We come up against a good side today. And the one thing that I sort of looked at that separated us was every time I've watched us play against Southampton and I've looked at Matty Target, and it's no offence to Matty Target, but I just feel he hasn't proved that he was worth keeping for Southampton. I feel like their players are a level above him.
Yeah.
And he's a decent left back for us, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I just think they are a couple of stages ahead of us. That's where we aspire to be. They're well drilled. They're well organised. Their players at times were passing the ball without even looking because they knew where their man was. So it's we're going to build up to that level, no doubt. I've got faith we're on the right track still. A couple of disappointing home games, but we're going to beat Arsenal, and then we'll be all right.
Let's do it. So thanks, Ryan, for coming on. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I didn't want it to sound too negative, but I felt like I'd just get my concerns out of the way in this episode and we can move on from it. So subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, and thanks for listening on Spotify and iTunes. Up the Villa.